Okay, great. So it looks like we're recording. And Digna, can you just make sure that everybody's muted, please? I can hear some background noise. So, um, Digna, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm muting people as we speak.
Okay, great. So welcome everybody. We want to start right on time. First and foremost, God bless you all. And thank you for taking time out to be here with us tonight. That's one thing that we don't take lightly is your time. And we believe it's one of our most valuable, if not the most valuable asset that we have is our time, because once we invest it, we can't get it back. Digna, now can you hear me? Can anybody hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you guys. Um, as I was saying, we appreciate your time, and this is live, so we're gonna have technical difficulties. But the reason why we invited you here tonight is because we think very highly of the information that's going to be shared with you guys tonight, and so we were actually introduced to this information probably about 2 months ago, and we did our homework. We read several books. Digna took a few classes, and we got to meet the people that we learned this information from, who you're going to also hear from tonight. And quite frankly, our lives have been, a lot of peace. We've learned some stuff, some strategies that wealthy people use in order to secure their families financially, the future, present, and for generations to come. And so we're super excited about that. And we're actually physically opening up a retirement planning agency in Jacksonville, because we've learned over the years that a blessing is not a blessing until you bless somebody else. And so it's a great opportunity for us to be able to continue to educate people and help people improve their lives, and also get paid for it. I mean, it just makes perfect sense. So um, with that, the person that's going to be running this workshop tonight is an incredible young man that I've had the honor and the privilege to meet briefly. Looking forward to working with this guy. We just got off the phone with him just to kind of talk about what's going on here tonight. He's stepping up. He's stepping up at a last minute notice. And this is what I love about working with an incredible team, where, when one person's not able to do the workshop, another person, it's great to be surrounded by incredible people. So we met this gentleman about 2 months ago, initially in Las Vegas. And then we met him again very briefly in California. We've heard incredible things about this guy. He's studied financing. Billy, if that's you, I think your mic is open, Billy. So okay, it looks like I'm unmute. I'm unmuted again. So Digna's got to get a hold of those controls back there. So this young man that's going to be teaching tonight for this workshop has studied 4 years in a university in California for finances. He's been with the company almost 4 years. He's one of the founding partners of the company, and we're super excited to hear from him tonight, run this workshop, and we're going to be taking notes and learning from him as well. So without further ado, I'd like to turn this workshop over to Mr. David Rosenberg. David, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Willie. Thank you very much for that wonderful and probably undeserved intro there. I know that you guys are super passionate. I could tell even from the 5-minute phone call that we had earlier today, they're on it. They're here to help. And if you know them, you have the privilege of knowing these guys. They're going to bring something special tonight, and they really have. We're going to be talking today. Again, my name is David Rosenberg, and we're going to be talking about securing your financial future. And just to let you know, all the information that we're going to be going over today, there's no obligation, nothing like that. We just want to make sure people understand what's happening to their money, whether it's in their 401k, whether it's in the bank, whether it's in some sort of investment, how that's actually going to go and work for you in the market or wherever it's at, okay? So a little bit about us, and thank you, Willy and Digna, for putting on this workshop. Let's go ahead and just jump straight in. So a little bit about Archshire Financial, guys. We've had a little over 30 years of experience in the financial services industry, and here you can tell from even Digna and Willy that we believe in providing the best service to our clients. We're dedicated to your strategic retirement planning because we want to protect hardworking individuals' monies. You know, you work every day for this money. You want to make sure that it's going to be put in a place where it's protected and also growing for you. You know, and we know that when it comes to every individual, it's not a one-size-fits-all sort of deal. So that's why we're able to partner with so many different firms and put people in the exact position where it's going to benefit them the most, because it's not a one-size-fits-all game here. So this is a little bit of the sample of the companies that we work with: Prudential, AIG, Fidelity, North American. A lot of these companies, actually some of these companies have been around as long as the Civil War. Okay, so all the information that we're going over tonight is going to be coming from them. And I will let you know, just kind of talking from with Willy about what I learned even in college and studying finances. A lot of this information, they don't share it with you in college or typical routes of education. I mean, they'll hit on it a little bit, but when it comes to the real transparent information, that's what we're going to be going over tonight. So talking about you guys' money, because that's what we're here. That's what we're here tonight for. So different options for your money. There's going to be a lot of different options, but in broad terms, we just broke it down 3 ways. So the first way is going to be fixed. All right. If you have a bank account or a savings account, congratulations, you got a fixed account. Okay. Normally, if we're talking about fixed accounts, the purpose behind those is for 2 things: either liquidity or protection, right? If you have a savings in a bank account, your average savings account in a bank, it will take you about 300 years for your money to double. So yes, we know that it's protected up to the guidelines of the FDIC, which is $250,000 per account, okay? But on the flip side, when it comes to growth in your money, no one has 300 years for 100,000 to go to 200,000 or $1 million to go to 2 million. It's just too long, which is why so many people will enter into your variable option for money. Now, when we're talking about variable, typically we're going to be talking about directly vested investments in the market. So your 401k, your IRA, your 403b, your 457 plan, SEP IRA, Roth IRA, mutual fund, EFT, whatever it is, it's going to be variable investment. Unlimited and uncapped potential for gains. How on the flip side, just how we have the ups and downs here, that's how your money can go, right? What are the long-term influences of being directly vested in the market, right? What are the ups and downs within a 10 or 20 or 30-year look going to have an effect on our return, right? On our actual investment, all right? And the last place that people put money is actually something called indexing, okay? And indexing is our active hybrid between fixed and variable, which allows us to get market-like returns up to a cap. But on the flip side, when the market goes down, interest gains and principal are locked in via an annual reset provision that I'll get into a little bit later, okay? Anyone heard of Warren Buffett? Okay, he has 2 rules to investing. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never lose money, right? Never forget rule number 1. Double emphasis, okay? Warren Buffett, for those that don't know, he's the 3rd richest man in the world, has about $86 billion that he made from investing in the stock market. And so many people, right, they'll violate these 2 rules to building wealth, losing money. When they're directly vested in the market and and the market's going down. I mean, I think yesterday the market went down 800 points, right? So people that are directly vested in the market, one of the richest men in the world is telling you, hey, you're violating rule number 1, right? Never losing money. So we want to make sure we're obviously positioning ourselves in a place where we're going to be building wealth over time, because we only have so much time here. So to understand exactly how time goes and works for you, we need to understand the rule of 72. Maybe you've heard of the rule of 72. Maybe you haven't. It's very simple. It's just the calculation of how to calculate compounding interest. So if you take the number 72, divide it by the annual rate of interest that your money is earning, you'll find out how many years it will take for your money to double. So say you're 29, right? You have a $10,000 investment. You threw it in a CD earning 1%. How long is that going to take your money to double? Well, if you're 29 and you have $10,000 in that 1% CD, money doubles every 72 years. So your 10,000 will grow to 20,000 by the time you hit 101. Exactly. Best investment I've ever seen. That's where I want my money. No, probably not, right? So we have a 4% investment, okay? Money not now doubling every 18 years. So this is going to be maybe your bond, maybe a fixed account around 4%. So now let's look at the math, okay? So 4%, 72 divided by 4, 18. So that 29-year-old with $10,000 by 47 has 20, and by 65 has 40. Okay, now is this a good investment? Well, when we're calculating taxes and inflation, it's pretty much keeping money level with inflation and taxes when we're calculating all of that in. Okay, so what about a 6% return? All right, same 29-year-old, 41, 53, 65, 80,000. Okay, so what's the important takeaway here? A 2% difference, even though it doesn't seem like a lot with your investment, but a 2% difference over the same duration of time, 29 to 65, is double the money. Now, say you add an extra zero at the end of that, 400,000 versus 800,000, that's the difference between retiring and not, right? Now, obviously, we want to make sure that we're in a position where we're earning at least a double-digit return. Now, is real estate or the stock market or any sort of investment going to give you 10% return every single year like we're illustrating for you? Probably not. But we want to make sure we understand the power of compounding interest. But a 29-year-old with in a 10% yielding account, by the time they're 36 has 20, 40 has 40, right? 50 has 80, 57 has 160, 65 has 320. And by 72, they've doubled their amount again at 640, okay? Turning $10,000 into a six-figure retirement by not even adding another penny in, all right? That's retirement. That's what I'm talking about. However, right, what kind of areas are going to be giving you that double-digit return? There's going to be real estate. There's going to be stock market. And what we want to understand about compounding interest is that we want to make sure our money is in a position to earn it rather than pay it. Okay, and that's what Albert Einstein was saying here, the famous mustache and beard, right? Mustache and hair, sorry, not mustache and beard. He was saying about compounding interest that, hey, this is the eighth wonder of the world. You want to make sure that you're earning it, right? If you understand it, you'll earn it. But if you don't, you'll pay it. And how many Americans are putting themselves in a position where they're not earning it anymore, they're paying it. How are they paying it? Well, they're paying it in high interest credit cards. They're paying it in car loans, maybe large mortgages. I know that a lot of people back in 2007, 2006, they were paying compounding interest by not understanding it, which is why so many houses foreclosed and our entire economy knocked out, right? So we want to make sure that we're understanding how to earn compound interest and not pay it, okay? And this is probably going to be the most important slide of the entire presentation here. This is the real truth about market volatility and how the long-term returns of the market are going to influence your money. How's the ups and how's the downs going to affect our nest egg, okay? So say we have $100,000 and we've seen some good years in the market, right? In the past 10 years, the market has just gone up, all right? So say you've been generous to your employer plan, 401k, qualified plan, it's all the same thing, okay? And we've gotten to $100,000. But what goes up obviously must come down. So say it drops by 25%, you're at 75,000, okay? So what percent do we need in order to get back to 100,000, okay? A lot of people will tell me, well, hey, Dave, you know, we lost 25% in the market. We must only need 25% back in order to get back to 100,000. And I would say, well, you know, 99% of people tell me that is 25%. So don't worry. But the problem is, this is actually 33%. You need more of a return, not to make money in this scenario, but just to get back to where you started, okay? The thing is if you take the average of these 2 years, a negative 25 and a positive 33, you would have come out with a positive number. Doesn't a positive number sound like you made money? Did you make money? No, you didn't. You just got back to principal, okay? And that is violating, obviously, compounding interest. You didn't earn any, right? So a negative 33, right? You need a 50% return, not to make money, just to get back. And just to let you know, the last time the market gave a 33% return, okay, this number right here, this figure, it was in 1996, okay? And what about what happened to people back in 2008? So as the negatives grow, the positives necessary not to just make money, but just to even come back grow as well. So by a 50%, a negative 50, what happened to people back in 2008, you need a 100% return to get back, okay? And that doesn't take 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. People were just recovering from what happened in 2008 and 2016, 2017, if you're just looking at your average fund, okay? So now, and Tony Robbins, for anyone that knows Tony Robbins and read his book, a lot of the research that he did, it said every 10 years, there is some sort of major market correction where the market is doing this, right? We have negative 50, positive 100. It's just correcting itself, okay? So we know what the issue is when we're directly invested in the market. Is this consequence of a negative interest credit? Is that when we have 100,000 and say the market drops by 50, and then the market returns by 50. So we lost 50% in our portfolio value, and then we gain that 50% back. Where are we at, right? Our average rate of return is 0, but our actual rate of return, the only number that matters, the actual numbers, is a negative 25%. And this is exactly how every single directly vested investment works. Your 401k, your IRA, your 403b, your 457 plan, SEP, IRA, Roth IRA, mutual fund, okay? They all work exactly the same way when we're directly vested in the market. And what we want to look at is we just want to look at the averages. I don't want you to just say, well, yeah, I mean, the math makes sense, okay? But we also want to see what else is going to protect us from that market loss, okay? So here's how to not violate Warren Buffett's rules to investing, okay? Is protection from market loss utilizing the indexing strategy. So the indexing strategy is that third option for money that we were talking about before. So say you have $100,000, not directly vested in the market, but utilizing an indexing strategy. What happens is you never lose any money. Okay, it's as simple as that. However, on the flip side, because you never lost anything, you're capped off on your gains per year. Say that cap is 25%. We made $25,000, okay? But because we never lost money the previous year, our 100,000, our 25% on 100,000 had the exact same return that a 50% on a 50,000 had, okay? We both gained 25,000 in each scenario. However, because we never lost money in the previous example, we're $50,000 ahead of the game, and we're able to continuously compound interest on our new principal. This is what it looks like in the S&P 500. If you're unfamiliar with the S&P, it's just the top 500 companies in America. So your Google, your Nike, Adidas, Tesla, Facebook, well, probably not Facebook anymore. I mean, that's what happens when you lose 125 billion. Okay, so all of the stocks wrapped together in an index, the Standard & Poor's 500. Pretty much as the S&P goes, so goes the nation, all right? So say we started with $100,000, and we're going to follow the red line first, okay? That's our directly vested investment. I'm just going to name it our 401k because it works pretty much all the same. So say we have $100,000 vested in our 401k in 1998. We just follow the market. We buy and hold, okay? I know a lot of you have probably heard of that strategy, so let's see what it does for people. So in 1998, we would have got about a 20% return, so we're feeling pretty good. 1999, about 10% or so. But what happened in 2000? In 2000, something called the dot-com bubble burst, okay? And a lot of people that are invested in these internet companies kind of fell out, all right? And what happened was people lost money. What about 2001? I know no one said that this was going to be a quiz, but what happened in 2001? It was 9/11, right? Terrorist attack. The economy contracted and people lost money. So let's just take a pause right here. After 5 years of investment, all right, we would have dropped from gained about 30,000 and then dropped about $50,000. I don't know about you. I feel pretty bad about losing $50,000. Like, is the economy going to drop still? What's going to happen in the future? Should I keep my money there? Or how long is this dive going to happen? And obviously, after recession, we know comes expansion. And this was a huge market boom that was caused by the government releasing a lot of regulations on the banking industry. So loans really got messed up, right? There was some really fraudulent loans out there. I mean, it was literally 100% financing, no income verification, negative amortizing loans, which pretty much means that you could work at McDonald's, get a loan for a $500,000 house, and not even pay enough into the principal of the home where it even paid off the interest that it was earning against that loan. Okay, so a lot of people in 2008 came to the place where they had to default on their mortgages, and that caused people in their long-term investments to lose money again. So let's take another pause right here. We've been invested for 11 years, and we've made $700. Okay, who has 11 years to make $700? I don't, right? I don't think you do either. Okay, and people that lost money, right? How long is it going to go again? And a lot of people lost their jobs, and if they have qualified plans, they're going to get penalized, and all these different avenues that people aren't thinking about, right? But it happens. Life happens. So after recession comes expansion, and this has been the longest bull run that America has ever had. If you know anything about America's economy history, the last time we had a bull run just as long, the one right before this one, right after it was the Great Depression. Okay, it doesn't take a mathematical genius to let you know, hey, what's coming up next? Market goes up, market goes down, market goes up, market goes down, market goes up. What's going to happen in the next 15, 20 years? We don't know. We just know that probably something big's going to happen soon, maybe in the next 12, 24 months. Okay, now let's go back and follow the blue line. I know all of you can read a graph. Okay, so you can see the blue line is obviously better than the red line, but I just want to help you understand why that is and where it comes from and why you've probably never heard of it. Okay, so 0% guarantee with a 15% cap. So say the market, right, we're restarting back here in 1998 with $100,000. Market went up by 20. We participated up to 15, which was our cap. Annual reset provision locks in the gains that we earned that year. We go invest the full 115 in the market again. It goes up. So we cash out, right? We have 125,000 still vested there. When the market goes down, interest gains and principal from the previous years are preserved. Market goes down again. We have our 0% guarantee again. Zero becomes our hero when the market goes down. Obviously, it has a more constant growth when the market drops again, obviously preserves again, and it stays above the actual S&P 500. And when you're looking at the S&P 500, it is most consistently the highest returning market out there when you're looking at the longevity of each market, right? It always has the highest on average return. Okay, so just looking at the percentages here, I'm going to move myself. All right, so 1999, all right, 1999, 1998, 2000. Okay, so these 2 years, if you're directly vested in the market, okay, you would have gotten about a 45% return. So you're feeling pretty good. Okay, if you had the indexing, if you were employing the indexing strategy, you would have capped yourself out at 12%. But you would have also locked in that 24%. What happened the next 3 years? Well, the next 3 years, we would have lost 46%. But if we were in the indexing strategy, we would have kept our 24%. So now we're below. Now we're below this 12% cap and 0% floor. Okay, so next couple of years, 26, 12, 8, 8, 3, 3, 13, 12, 3, 3. What happened in 2008? Right, people know losing 38% in their investment. If you're in the indexing strategy, you would have lost nothing. So you wouldn't have to restart, okay? So these are great, but we want to know, okay, what's the averages, right? We always want to look at the law of averages. So the 10-year average of the S&P is about a 6.2. What's the average of the index strategy here with a 12% cap? An even more conservative example in 0% floor. It's almost 8. And I want to remind you earlier, if you're looking at compounding interest, the 2% difference over a 30-year period is going to be double the money. Where are we at? We're tracking for a 2% difference here. The 15-year average, we're about matching, and when the negatives come back, the market correction happens. Look at this. We're at a 5.2 on a 20-year of the S&P. If you're just directly vested in the S&P, you're going to be about a 5.2. If you're employing the indexing strategy, you have a 7.09 and almost a 2% difference. So we're still tracking with almost double the money over that same duration of time. Okay, I lied. This is the most important slide, taxes, right? So 3 different ways that money is taxed and how it's going to impact you. So we have the taxable amount, right? There's Uncle Sam. One is money right away, right when you earn interest in these accounts. That's going to be savings accounts, certificates of deposits. you have to pay taxes on your money right away, which is why so many people, they'll go and employ the tax deferred account. That's going to be like your 401ks, IRAs, your qualified plan. And the way that the taxation works in these plans, guys, is say, for instance, you're making $100,000 gross at your job. You want to be a good saver, so you go ahead and place 10%, $10,000 in your qualified plan. The tax benefits is that you are no longer taxed at $100,000, you're taxed at $90,000. So you save your 2-3% on taxes today. This is money that you're purposely putting away for tomorrow, but you're getting a little incentive to put it away today. And a lot of employers, they'll give you a match. If that, some employers are kind of taking that away a little bit, but it just depends on who it is. I've seen some employers they'll give you a 12% match, which is incredible, and other employers where every dollar you put in up to 3%, they'll give you a quarter. So it just really depends. You can't touch this money until 59 and a half. If you do, whatever your income bracket is, okay, say you're at 100,000, you're at a 30% income tax, okay? If you touch this money before 59 and a half, you will see a 10% federal penalty on top of a 2% state penalty. So if you're at a 30%, by accessing your qualified plan before 59 and a half, you've organically pushed yourself up to 42%. You want to take 10,000 out, you're going to see almost 15,000 come out from your account. So let's just say, in a not too worst case scenario, we actually have this beautiful nest egg, $500,000. You worked hard, you're 59 and a half, you are about to enjoy your retirement, but what happens at 59 and a half? Well, Uncle Sam comes knocking and he says, hey guys, you never paid my taxes, right? So the tax bill comes, say you're at a 33% tax bracket, $165,000 comes out for taxes, and $335,000 is now yours. Now, given that is the total tax burden that eventually you will have to pay as you withdraw the money. And Uncle Sam gives you about 11 and a half year window in order to do that before something called RMDs come into play. If you've never heard of RMDs, it's called required minimum distributions. Okay, they don't force you to start taking your money out, but they do require you to start taking that money out. And if for whatever reason you do not start taking out your required minimum distribution, whether you're working or not, Uncle Sam will put a 50% penalty on this withdrawal. So if you have to pull out 15% of 500,000, which is around 60, that's around 60 or so. Let me see, hold on, 500,000, 10, 20, yeah, 75,000, right? Say you have to pull out 75,000. If for whatever reason you don't, Uncle Sam will take 50% of that as a penalty. So you'll receive almost a $40,000 penalty by not taking your money out, okay? And on top of that, whatever he pulls out on a penalty, you still have to pull out your RMD and pay your taxes on that, okay? So something called the 85% tax bracket, and I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy, okay? Not only is there volatility in the plans, but we also have plan fees, all right? I know we're going over a lot of information. I hope you guys are taking notes because this is some phenomenal stuff that's going to impact your investments here. So the impact of these on your investment performance, say you're contributing $3,600 annually, 8% compounded rate of return for 35 years. How is a fee, right? In the same way that compounding interest is going to build a retirement nest egg for us, how's a compounding fee going to take that away? All right, so say we're vesting this $3,600, we have a no fee, right? This is going to be like your fixed accounts, like CDs, maybe an annuity, right? A 1% revolving fee, a 2%, and a 3% revolving fee that are in qualified plans. So if you have a 1%, it's going to cost you about $140,000. If you have a 2% revolving fee, it's $260,000. And if you have a 3% revolving fee, it's more than half of your account value. Your average employer plan, 401k, will sit at about a 2 to 3% revolving fee in disclosed fees, all right? Not even the undisclosed fees that kind of come out without your knowledge for the most part, because maybe there was a little bit more trading there. There was something in the regulations that happened, so they up their fees or whatever it is, okay? But on average, this is where your average investor is going to be, right? Between 260 and half of your account value, okay? Now, when I was mentioning indexing before, indexing does not work the same way that a revolving fee that grows as your account value grows works. Instead, it's fixed, okay? So it won't even grow the same way because it's not evolving as your money is evolving. Instead, over the lifetime of someone's investment, it's anywhere between a 0.5 and a 0.7% of a fee, if you can even calculate it like that, because it's fixed. It doesn't grow as your money grows, okay? So Time Magazine, they wrote a couple articles, why it's time to retire the 401k and what you can do instead. Quote, 401k was never made to be the primary retirement vehicle, unquote, Time Magazine. Okay, well, hey, Time, I don't care how famous you are, right? You can't say that about 70 million Americans' retirement plan, saying, hey, it was never meant to be the retirement vehicle that it's been advertised to be, or people have been, very maliciously kind of forced into these programs. I mean, nowadays they auto enroll you every single time. It's not even an option, and there's no education about it. Okay, so Time Magazine, right? The editor of Time Magazine, he hopped on MSNBC. We actually have the clip from Morning Joe. It's about 2 minutes, and I'll see you right after the video.
With us now to unveil this week's new issue of Time Magazine, Time's managing editor, Richard Stengel. Rick, what are we looking at this week?
Well, we're looking at a subject that is bothering millions and millions of Americans, 70 million Americans to be exact. It is the problem of 401ks and why we need to retire the 401k and why it's not working for millions of Americans. The 401k, as not many people realize, was originally created by Congress as a tax dodge for executives 30 years ago. It was never meant to be the primary vehicle of retirement for Americans. And over the last 20 years, it has become so. And what we've seen over the last 5 years is, if you had $100,000 in your 401k 5 years ago and you had the standard alignment of investments, you'd have less than that now. And what's been a disaster for people with the going into the Great Recession and now coming out of it is that the way the 401k works is that the closer you are to retirement, the less choice you have and the more money you're likely to lose. So people who are retiring were going into their retirement with hardly anything in their 401k.
So, and we hear time and time again, people having to work past retirement age, past 65, or some even working into their 70s because their life savings were blown over the past couple of years on 401k.
Right, and in fact, there's a quirk in the 401k, which is the closer you are to retirement, the more likely you are to lose money if the stock market goes down because you're putting less money into it. So that's what happened to a lot of people. So we talked to dozens and dozens of people who have retired but now have to work. And originally the 401k was meant to be a supplement to the kind of retirement that you would have, pension plus Social Security. But as so many companies have gotten rid of their pensions, people have depended on the 401k and they've lost out.
So what's the plan?
I mean, I've been talking to you guys back here while I was waiting to go on, and they asked me what the cover was, and they said, yeah, tell me about it. I've lost I don't even look at my 401k anymore.
Yeah. So what do we do instead?
Well, what we propose instead, and that story is by a young business writer of ours named Steve Gandel, is a insurance pension plan, where instead of paying that money into a 401k, 6% of your salary every week or month, you pay it into an insurance plan that guarantees you a pension, basically, for the rest of your life at about a quarter of your salary.
And that seems fair. I mean, the problem with the people who have lost all their money in their 401ks is 401k, isn't it supposed to be what you have when you retire? Why would you put money, 6% of your salary, into something that is a risk?
Well, it's a risk, and then it's also something where you deplete it. I mean, it's basically a bunch of cash that you have when you retire, and you're supposed to take out 4 or 5% a year. I mean,
and everyone tells you that's the smart thing to do.
It was for a long
There's
time.
a whole business. I'm not sure it was. I mean, it's not even 30 years old, right? So you have a whole class of people who have grown up, these investment advisors, who take this thing and are telling you to do something that nobody has tested or not. It's like a vaccine that they haven't really tested, and they don't know what the long-term influence is.
Alrighty, so pretty much everything that we were discussing before. Okay, so if this 401k program was never meant to be the primary source of retirement income for retirees, and the main deal was these pensions, and corporations aren't offering pensions anymore. Pretty much, you can go and make your own pension contract through these different companies. Okay, so that kind of leads us to our last tax category, which is tax advantage, tax exempt. If you've heard of the Roth IRA, by 59.5, it is completely tax-free. So when you're taking out that money, it's at a 0% tax bracket, which means it's going to be a post-tax contribution. So you won't be getting that 2 or 3% discount on your taxes this year. However, when it comes to pulling the money out, when the money really matters, you're going to have a 0% tax bracket. So none of that money is going to be taxed. And that's about the extent that I like Roth IRAs, because a lot of Roth IRAs, actually all of them, have contribution limitations. So you can only put $5,500 a year into it. If you're above 60, it's $6,500. But there are also income limitations. If you make too much money, you cannot fund a Roth IRA. All right, it's $118,000 gross as a single. It's $186,000 as a couple, which makes me personally kind of question it as, okay, well, if people that make $250,000 or 100,000 or even $1 million can't invest in the Roth IRA, is that something that I need to do, right? There's also volatility that comes with the plans. It works just like 401ks. And there's obviously plan fees that come with it too. And a lot of times employers will offer 401ks, but they won't really offer Roth IRAs. So you have to go through private institutions and they'll jack up the fees. I actually had a really, really, really responsible young man come to me. He was about 23, made some good money for a 23-year-old, but 60% of his income was going to long-term investments, where it was his house, gold, silver, his Roth IRA, 401k. He had a life insurance plan too. 60% of his income was going to long-term investments, right? So he was preparing for his future. But when we looked at his Roth IRA, I kid you not, he had a 5.7% fee. Super responsible, but just didn't know what that meant. He was literally putting money into his plan and his account balance wasn't moving at all just because his fee was so high. All right. And the last place that we can find this tax exempt, tax advantage option, that's going to be your index plan or your SERP plan, supplemental executive retirement plans. And the way that those work with index plans is it's going to be a post-tax contribution that grows tax deferred. All right. There's an annual reset provision, which more importantly, right, it allows you to capture and lock in each year of positive return in the market. So every single time that the market goes up, you're capturing that and you're locking it in. It's not going anywhere. It's not volatile in the market. There's a huge upside potential for growth. And this is probably one of the most important factors of it is protection, whether it's due to bankruptcy, lawsuits, levies, liens, or any sort of judgment, you're getting protection in these SERP plans or these index plans. And a lot of people actually don't know this, but 401ks and IRAs, mutual funds, they don't have protection anymore. You can thank O.J. Simpson back in 2014 for that. If you don't know what happened in that case, back in 2014, what happened with O.J. Simpson is he was found not guilty for the criminal case, but when it came to the civil case, the people won, right? He was found guilty. And what happened is O.J. Simpson, he had all of his money in IRAs and 401ks and everything like that. And when the law went after him, when people went after him, he had no money in his bank account. So he filed bankruptcy and got away with millions of dollars in his plans protected. So legislation took away the protection from bankruptcies, lawsuits, levies, and liens in these 401k, IRA, mutual fund plan. You can't find them anymore. So, I mean, literally with index plans, someone could hit you, right? And it could be completely their fault, but they say they hurt their neck and they won in court. They could take all the money out of your 401k. If you have one of these SERP plans, you're still locked in with that protection. And you won't have to worry about one day someone taking half of your nest egg by doing you wrong, right? Not only is there protection on the legal side, but there's also protection on the health side. And the way that these supplemental executive retirement plans work is there's two buckets of money that come in when you're working with them. There's your account value that's linked to the market and growing when the market goes up, and obviously protected when the market goes down. And there's a protection benefit, like a face amount, that goes and protects you, right? So millions of Americans, they'll suffer from heart attack, cancer, stroke. I mean, 65% of people in debt is due to medical, right? It's due to heart attacks, cancer, stroke, anytime you have to go to the hospital. And what happens with these plans, and let's say, for instance, you're max funding your 401k, you're putting $18,000 a year, right? and say you have this plan where you're putting $18,000 a year. And 5 years down the road, okay, you have $100,000 in your 401k, you have $100,000 in your index plan, but attached to your index plan is $1 million worth of coverage that's just been sitting there from day one, all right? If you were to now be in the hospital and you got to pull money out, if you try to pull money out of your 401k and you needed, $200,000 operation, and you try to pull out all the money from your 401k, well, at your current income bracket, you'd be lucky to get $50,000 if you try to pull that out, okay? Because you have wherever your income is and the penalty. So you try to pull $50,000 out, you'll have to pay about $92,000. Now, what happens with these SERPs, right? These supplemental executive retirement plans, instead of having to take money out from the account value, you're able to access your face amount, okay? So if you need $200,000 for your operation, depending on the severity, you could pull that out tax-free and it won't even affect your account value. Maybe $5,000 comes out, but you still have $95,000 working for you rather than having to relinquish the entire account and barely even being able to pay for it, right? Not only that, there's chronic illness benefit. A lot of people, they know about long-term care. Okay, long-term care is extremely expensive. I actually personally, my father has dementia, and we looked at how nursing care and things like that, and to get something that he needs, because we really can't handle it anymore, it was $5,900 a month, okay? Just by himself, right? Just for the care that he needs, right? With one of these plans, it would actually be paid for, okay? Terminal illness, so if you're given 12 to 24 months to live, it actually would relinquish 90, 95% of that face amount that you can use in real time to get any care that you need. Or in the event that you die too soon, what about protection for your family, right? If you have your 401k, a lot of people don't know this, but if you have your 401k and you died and you had $100,000 in that plan, your family would be lucky to get about $65,000 of that due to the death tax. Now with these SERPs, because of the protection benefits, if you had that exact same scenario where you had $100,000 in account value and $1 million in your face amount, not only would your family still get the full $100,000, but they get the $1 million too, right? So 1.1 million versus 65,000 for the exact same contribution, one going to a qualified plan and one going to a supplemental executive retirement plan. And that's something that only indexing and supplemental executive retirement plans can do. Everyone, I hope you guys enjoyed learning tonight. I enjoyed presenting tonight. This is going to be our final video. It's by 60 minutes, okay? So it's about 3 hours long. No, I'm kidding. It's only 10 minutes long, okay? But it's going to be a really great reminder in what was happening back in 2008, 2009, and exactly why so many Americans were not retiring with their 401k plans that they bet their life savings on. So let's go ahead and check out this video, and I'll see you right after.
The effects of the current economic crisis have touched everyone. Even if you still have a good job and a paid-up mortgage, chances are your monthly 401k statement will remind you that you've lost a good chunk of your savings. Trillions of dollars have evaporated from those accounts that have become the prime source of retirement funds for a majority of American workers, affecting their psyche and their future. If you're still young enough, there's time to rebuild and recover. But if you're in your 50s or 60s or beyond, the consequences can be dire. And it's drawing attention to the shortcomings of a retirement system that's jeopardized the financial security of tens of millions of people. It was a gray, chilly morning in Midtown Manhattan, and a line of unemployed, mostly white-collar workers stretched for blocks around the Radisson Hotel. More than 1,000 middle managers, stockbrokers, consultants, secretaries, and receptionists had come here hoping to find a job.
If you are just arriving, please step this way.
Good morning.
It was called a career fair, but there was no merriment here, only a whiff of desperation.
Do you have any openings in the IT industry?
Many of these people had been out of work for months and burned through their liquid assets, their future even bleaker than the present. Alan Weir, who turned 60 this month, showed us his latest 401k statement, which he hadn't had the courage to open up.
I'm afraid.
You're going to open it now?
You want me to? Let's do it.
There's good reason for his trepidation. Nearly half of his life savings have vanished in a matter of months.
It went down again.
How much you down overall?
About $140,000.
Do you think you'll ever get it back?
I mean, I would probably never see it come back. I was looking to retire probably when I hit 62. I can't do it now. I'll probably be working until I'm at least 70.
I'm a Microsoft Office diva.
Until she lost her job, Kathleen Coleman had spent nearly 30 years working as an executive assistant on Wall Street. She doesn't have much to show for it. Tell me about your 401k.
Does this answer the question?
This is what it was in 2005. 2007, you're down below 2005.
Right. And another one went down almost $40,000. One was
Right.
88,000, and then it went down to like 50.
How old are you?
54, and I live alone. I don't have any children. I've been a career girl all my life, and it's been a great career, and I don't deserve this. I'm sorry.
It's all right. Have you had any nibbles?
All the nibbles I've had, I get beat out by top models who can type. And I have experience and dedication and loyalty, and I can make any boss shine. I can. If you're out there, I'll relocate anywhere for you.
What, psychologically, what does this piece of paper do to you?
Oh, it crushes any rest I may get when I'm 65. I'll have to work for the rest of my life.
The saddest part of this story is that it's being repeated all over the country. In eastern Pennsylvania, 59-year-old Iris Hans lost her accounting job and half of her 401k investments. She's now back in the workforce as a part-time cashier in a grocery store.
Your debit card. You have a great day.
In Dearborn, Michigan, Terry and Donna McNally are barely holding on. He lost his sales job in August. The condo they bought 15 years ago is worth less than their mortgage, and 40% of his 401k retirement savings is gone. Donna is the main provider now.
Let me hear you count to 10. Can you count to 10?
1, 2,
running a daycare center out of their home.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Are you here for John?
Terry considers himself fortunate to have found part-time work greeting the bereaved at a funeral home and making lattes at Starbucks.
There you go.
Where colleagues young enough to be his grandchildren have taken him under their wing.
What's the hardest part? I'm no longer sitting in a computer or driving in a car to a call. You know, suddenly I'm standing for 4 to 6 hours and greeting people or making drinks or trying to learn the process and the food business thing, which is very difficult.
It's tough, but I'm proud of him. At his age, to be doing what he's doing.
The 401k drop was tremendous, is tremendous at this point in time, and that's where the savings was. That's our hurt right now.
We can't live our vision of our dream of retirement. That's the worst part. Many people can't.
And what was your dream?
Our dream was to have a log cabin up north, Leland area, and just live a nice, quiet life. And we can't do that.
You think you'll ever be able to retire?
I don't see that day. Can no longer see that day.
What kind of a retirement plan allows millions of people to lose 30 to 50% of their life savings just as they near retirement? David Ray, president of the profit-sharing 401k Council of America and a lobbyist for the 401k industry, says it's one that empowers people to make their own investment decisions.
401k is the absolute best way people can save for retirement. They absolutely are the best retirement vehicle we have.
How can you say it's the best available if it has let down tens of millions of people at the time they need the money the most?
That's not a 401k problem. That is our entire investment system. This is about the markets went down for everybody. Nobody was saved in the current thunderstorm.
Ray says that many people still have more money in their 401ks than they've actually contributed. He says everyone had multiple investment options, including low-yield guaranteed returns. And he believes people who lost money have no one to blame but themselves.
In America, it's a society based on freedom and choice and personal responsibility. We need to help them understand these responsibilities and execute them to the best they can. 401k is part of that. There are no guarantees.
What about the people who are 63 or 64? A lot of those people were thinking about retiring.
Well,
and now they aren't.
Well, I mean,
a lot of them were retired and have to go back into the workforce.
Well, but that was not a 401k problem. That's an investment system problem. The markets go up and down, and if those people chose to take equity risk, there was a logical outcome.
But in fact, the 401k plans that have become the primary source of retirement income for 60 million Americans were never designed to be retirement plans in the first place. They were created in the late 1970s as a savings plan and tax shelter for ordinary Americans. The idea was that workers would make voluntary contributions and employers would match a portion of them. The taxes would be deferred until the employee reached the age of 59 and a half. It was supposed to supplement the two traditional income streams for retirees, Social Security and pensions, one leg of a three-legged stool that would support American workers into their golden years. But it didn't turn out that way.
The three-legged stool, if you will, has gone to two legs, and it's wobbly, and it's wobbling, and I'm not sure that it's going to support anything. And that's the scary part, and people are afraid.
Brooks Hamilton has helped design retirement plans for some of the country's largest corporations. He says 401ks turned out to be so much cheaper than funding pensions that many companies decided to freeze their pension plans and replace them with 401ks. The decision created millions of new employee investors for Wall Street and the financial community, and they pounced on the opportunity.
If you go back and track the mutual fund growth in assets, and you track the growth in 401k plans, it looks like a railroad track leading to the sky. They are parallel tracks.
So the big beneficiaries were the mutual funds.
That's right. That's correct.
When employers began turning 401ks into retirement plans, the financial community was not shy about promoting them as such. The prospect of trillions of dollars in the hands of unsophisticated investors opened the door for all sorts of potential abuses.
The fact is that the typical 401k investor is a financial novice. They don't know a stock from a line. And we give them a list of 20 or 30 mutual funds with really, really powerful names. You know, they sound like, gee, that's where I want to have my money.
What are generally the quality of the mutual funds and 401k plans?
Mediocre. I'm being real honest with you. With half the funds on the list, really dogs, what people would characterize as dogs, shouldn't be on the list to start with.
There clearly has been a raid on these funds by the people of Wall Street, and it's cost the savers and the future retirees a lot of money that would otherwise be in their account, independent of the financial collapse.
Representative George Miller of California is chairman of the House Committee on Education and Labor and a staunch critic of the 401k industry, especially its practice of deducting more than a dozen undisclosed fees from its clients' 401k accounts.
Now you got a bunch of economic wizards jumping in and taking money out of your retirement plan, and they don't want to tell you how much. You can't decipher it in simple English, and they're not interested in disclosing it or having any transparency about it.
And most of the people that look at their 401ks have no idea that these fees are being taken out.
No. Where would you find it? Where would you find these fees in this prospectus? You can look on any page you want, and when you're all done reading, and you will find some of the fees and the commissions here, but you won't find them all, and I bet you won't find half of them.
There are legal fees, trustee fees, transactional fees, stewardship fees, bookkeeping fees, finder's fees, and the list goes on and on. Miller's committee has heard testimony that they can eat up half the income in some 401k plans over a 30-year span, but he has not been able to stop it.
We tried to just put in some disclosure and transparency in these fees, and we felt the full fury of that financial lobbying.
David Ray, a lobbyist for the 401k industry, says he favors disclosing the fees, but his partners in the financial industry don't. You think most people know these fees exist?
I think they know that there are fees. They don't know exactly how large they are.
Why do you think the financial services industry is opposed to fee transparency?
I don't know that they're opposed to it. I think the issue is...
You don't think they're opposed to it?
Well, they want to keep...
You're a lobbyist in Washington, right? You know they're opposed to it. George Miller hasn't been able to get a bill to the floor.
I think they want to keep the systems as simple and and not make changes. They like the way things are, and whenever you push people out of their comfort zones, it's an issue.
I mean, they're comfortable with the situation because they're making a ton of money, or they have made a ton of money.
Well, and their systems are set up in certain ways. This is going to be a big change.
We wanted to ask David Ray, who's been so bullish on 401k plans, one last question about what the future holds for people like Terry and Donna McNally and Kathleen Coleman, who you met at the beginning of this story.
Dedicated, loyal, I can be there, there's nothing standing in my way. Thank you. Need a babysitter?
Most of the people that we've talked to are 50 and 60 years old, and have sustained these losses, say there is no way they're ever going to make them back.
Right.
Do you agree with that?
I think we have to be truth tellers. I think that when a person has hit this point, and we've had this unfortunate situation, I don't think we can misrepresent what the possibilities are.
And the reality is that money is not coming back that they've lost.
They can't count on it. They have to.
That was actually the end of the video. He was saying
Maybe they have maybe if they work 10 more years, it'll come back by the 10. But it's important that they not have unrealistic expectations.
So, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. A little bit of a sobering video talking about, what's happened. And the reality is people have lost a lot of money. And what David Ray was saying at the end is that, hey, could take them 10 years to get that money back. And now looking to what he was saying, he was exactly right. As people have now kind of just gotten to this place where the money has come back. And what do we do for now? We'll probably due for another market crash, right? Who knows what's going to bring, what's going to happen in the next 10, 15 years. So the big question is who's going to pay your bills? The government, $19+ trillion in debt. Okay, so Social Security, will it be enough? Actually, if you like the information that you were seeing there, you want to go ahead and look on Netflix for The Power of Zero. It's going to be coming out soon. It's kind of an updated look at what's going on with our national debt and what we can assume is going to happen in the future. Okay, it's a lot of really great information. What about your IRA or 401k? What is your future tax rate going to be? Will you run out of money? Is the government going to place this huge tax burden that it has for itself? And, are people 401ks and IRAs, are they going to pay for it for the taxations that are due when RMDs come out? What about company pensions? They're really a thing of the past, becoming really hard to find, at least good ones. I actually had my buddy, he got into one of the best electrical unions out here in California. Okay, and everybody knows, the expense and the cost of living here is dramatically, it's really, really expensive. All right. We looked at his pension after 35 years being vested with this union. His pension was $1,000 a month. Okay. So what about your kids as Social Security, right? Can they afford you? Really appreciate everybody for coming out and attending. Danita, right, is going to sorry, not Digna, my bad. Digna is going to be sending you a response card real quick, and this is what it's going to look like. Okay, this is www.arcshire.com/response. This is just your opportunity to answer any questions that you may have. If you need any information on what was kind of gone over, anything like this, but this is our ability to track to see who logged on and who attended. Okay, so this is just basic information. So I'll have first name, last name. Digna is going to send it in the chat right now too. Address, who invited you. You're going to want to go ahead and put Willy or Digna Morris, right? Marital status, basic information, right? Cell phone, income. Today's date today is 10/11/2018. The first one is going to ask, I wish to take advantage of a free consultation and analysis. Go ahead and check yes. If we can put you in a better space, why not? And if you want to know exactly what's going on, this is your opportunity to do that, right? I wish to meet about the following. There's a comprehensive analysis of my current portfolio, advantages of converting to an index plan. There's tax-free retirement alternatives to 401k and IRA, or maybe you just want a second opinion on what you got going on right now, and then go ahead and place 2 days and times to meet. We are really, really busy. So if we can find a couple days that work for you and a couple days that work for us, we can go ahead and meet up and answer any of those questions. And in the comment section, this is my my favorite spot, okay? This is where you get to put any questions that you may have. One of our advisors, they'll go ahead and give you a call, answer any questions that you may have, or any comments, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. If you like me, go ahead and put that. If you didn't like me, my name is Jason Ern. But if you like me, my name is Dave Rosenberg. But go ahead and put any questions you may have there, anything you liked about it. Really appreciate everyone for logging on. Hope you enjoyed tonight's seminar and have a really great night. Make sure to go ahead and fill out a response card. Thanks everyone for logging on tonight.
Wow, that was just amazing. Thank you so much for your time. That was great. I was taking notes and learning again. So I really appreciate your time. For those that are still with us, I want to thank you for investing your time. That is the one thing that we do not get back. My God, the information tonight was incredible. The way that it was delivered, it was so clear that I could not ask for more. So I really thank this company and the leaders of this company, because, wow, they really go out of their way to help us. And we're learning, we're still in training, and our goal is always been to help a lot of people, to take people to freedom. And the vehicle might change, but the destination is still the same. And we want to help as many people as possible, and that's why you're on this webinar. So go ahead and fill out those response cards, and myself or my husband will get back to you, and we'll set up a time, and we'll help you. This information could change your life and the future of your family and yourself. So have a great night. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll hope to see you in the next one. And definitely we'll look at the response cards and get back to you to be able to have a conversation one-on-one with you and one of our advisors that will be able to help you. So thank you so much, and great night. This is Digna, Deleon. I'll talk to you guys soon. Again, thanks for joining us tonight.